Success isn't magic, it's engineered. Today, I'm pulling back the curtain and revealing the raw, unfiltered truths behind how I built Tesla, SpaceX, and more. No fluff, just brutal logic, relentless execution, and a mindset that refuses to quit. Let's dive into the secrets that most won't tell you, because comfort doesn't build rockets. Elon Musk's success is not rooted in chasing wealth. It's rooted in an obsessive focus on his mission. From the very beginning, Musk did not set out to become a billionaire. He set out to solve problems that he believed were existential for humanity. When you look at Tesla, SpaceX, Neuralink, and even earlier ventures like Zip2 and PayPal, the common thread is always a larger vision. The money was a byproduct of relentlessly pursuing that vision. This mindset creates a powerful shift in how you approach work, decision making, and sacrifice. When you are driven by purpose, you tap into a deeper source of energy and resilience that money alone cannot provide. Musk's mission is to ensure the survival and flourishing of humanity, to accelerate the world's transition to sustainable energy, and to make life multiplanetary. These are not small goals. They are massive, bold, and even ridiculed at times. But that's the point. Obsession with such missions is what separates extraordinary success from mediocrity. Most people are guided by comfort, security, and short-term gains. Musk is guided by impact, legacy, and long-term survival. That's why he poured his own money into SpaceX and Tesla when both companies were on the brink of collapse. That's why he slept on the factory floor during production hell. When the mission matters more than your ego or even your comfort, you make different choices. You go further, risk more, and endure more. This kind of obsession is not casual. It's not balanced. It demands everything, but it also builds something that most people never touch: greatness with purpose. Musk doesn't wake up asking how he can make more money today. He wakes up asking how he can get humanity one step closer to Mars, how he can reduce the use of fossil fuels, how he can engineer smarter, faster solutions to impossible problems. That level of clarity is rocket fuel for action. His obsession with the mission also influences the way he hires, the way he leads, and the way he operates. He looks for people who care about the mission as deeply as he does. Not for people who want a job, but for those who want to build the future. That kind of culture creates a compounding effect. When every person in the company is aligned with the same world-changing vision, the output is exponential. The long nights, the failures, the public criticism, it all becomes secondary to the purpose. There is no room for apathy or mediocrity when the mission is existential. That's why Musk often says if something is important enough, even if the odds are against you, you should still do it. That's not optimism, that's obsession with the mission, and it's important to understand that this kind of obsession doesn't mean ignoring logic or facts. In fact, Musk is extremely data-driven, but the mission gives him the emotional drive to keep pushing through the hard data. It's easy to stop when the numbers look bad. It's easy to quit when investors pull out. But when the mission is bigger than the setback, you find a way to keep going. That's what happened when SpaceX had 3 consecutive failed launches. Most companies would have folded, but Musk pushed forward because getting to space was never about prestige. It was about creating a backup plan for humanity. Another critical piece is how the mission gives meaning to suffering. Every great achievement has a cost: pain, failure, ridicule, exhaustion. They're all part of the journey. But when you are aligned with a mission you deeply believe in, that suffering feels like progress. It becomes meaningful, even energizing. That's why Musk can work 60-hour days for months without burnout. It's not because he's superhuman. It's because he's emotionally and mentally aligned with his mission. That alignment creates energy, resilience, and drive that no salary or title can provide. Most people burn out because they're working for something they don't care about. Musk thrives because he is all in on something that matters to him on a planetary scale. Even his communication style reflects this obsession. He doesn't spend much time trying to be politically correct or polished. He speaks from the mission. That rawness, that intensity, makes him polarizing but also deeply authentic. People may not agree with him, but they cannot ignore him, and that in turn attracts talent, capital, and momentum. When you're obsessed with the mission, you don't need to sell yourself. Your work and intensity speak for you. It creates a gravitational pull. That's why thousands of engineers want to work at Tesla or SpaceX even when the hours are brutal. They want to be part of something bigger than themselves. That's what true leadership through obsession looks like. It's not charisma. It's conviction. It's not about managing people. It's about inspiring belief through action. Elon Musk attributes much of his success to the concept of first principles thinking. It's a method of reasoning that breaks things down to their most fundamental truths and builds up from there. Instead of relying on analogy or assumptions, Musk questions everything. He doesn't ask, what is everyone else doing? He asks, what is actually true, and what are we trying to achieve from scratch? This approach is not only rare but deeply powerful. It allows Musk to innovate in ways others cannot. When most people try to improve something, they make incremental changes to what already exists. Musk starts by challenging the very core of how things are done. This leads to entirely new approaches that disrupt industries. First principles thinking forces you to ignore tradition and groupthink. It makes you uncomfortable, but that discomfort is where breakthroughs happen. For example, in the early days of SpaceX, building rockets was thought to be too expensive for private companies. Everyone assumed it couldn't be done without billions in funding. Instead of accepting that, Musk asked, what are the raw materials of a rocket? What is the cost of aluminum, carbon fiber, electronics, fuel? When he added it up, he realized the actual material cost of a rock. It was only a fraction of what companies were charging. The rest was inefficiency, bureaucracy, and legacy thinking. So, he decided to build rockets from the ground up using first principles. That decision created SpaceX. The same approach was applied at Tesla. Musk didn't just ask how to make a better car. He asked, what should a car be if we were designing it today from scratch with no gasoline engine and full software integration? He didn't accept the standard constraints of the auto industry. He saw that cars didn't need dealerships, didn't need maintenance, heavy engines, and could be updated via software like a smartphone. All of that came from rejecting assumptions and rebuilding the problem from zero. First principles thinking lets you challenge what others call impossible. It empowers you to create, not just improve, and that's the root of disruptive innovation. Most people don't think in first principles because it's mentally taxing. It requires deep focus, rigorous questioning, and letting go of comforting ideas. Musk thrives in that discomfort. He is willing to look foolish, to be wrong, to question his own beliefs. That intellectual humility is rare among leaders. But it's essential if you want to truly innovate. When people asked why he thought he could build rockets or electric cars without experience, Musk's response wasn't arrogance. It was logic. He studied physics, read obsessively, and applied core reasoning. That gave him the confidence to proceed even when the experts doubted him. Confidence built on clarity, not ego. First principles also help Musk with speed. In business, speed matters. The faster you can identify root problems and solve them creatively, the more competitive you become. Instead of getting bogged down in how things have always been done, Musk and his teams move fast by going straight to the core. They question everything from manufacturing techniques to design elements. If something is unnecessary, they cut it. If a process doesn't make sense from a physics or engineering perspective, they redesign it. Every decision goes through this filter of fundamental logic. This thinking permeates the entire culture of his companies. Engineers at SpaceX and Tesla are trained to think from first principles, not to copy competitors. That's why these companies often come up with radically different solutions to industry problems. It's not about being contrarian for the sake of it. It's about stripping away assumptions and rebuilding intelligently. Musk often says you need to constantly question your processes. If you don't, inefficiency creeps in. Just because something worked yesterday doesn't mean it's the best path forward. That mindset keeps innovation alive and complacency at bay. Another benefit of first principles is the ability to make bold bets. When you understand a problem at its core, you can see opportunities others miss. You're not relying on surface data or trends. You're relying on truth that allows you to take calculated risks with clarity. Whether it's reusable rockets, self-driving cars, or brain mesh interfaces, Musk bets big because his reasoning is grounded in fundamentals. It's not gambling, it's precision. In a world full of copy-paste strategies, Musk's method is a blueprint for originality. First principles thinking is not limited to science or engineering. It applies to leadership, marketing, time management, and every decision you make. It's a tool that forces clarity. It strips away noise and gets you to the essence. That essence is where real solutions live. The deeper you go, the more insight you gain, and that insight becomes your competitive edge. Elon Musk is known for his intense work ethic, often working 80 to 100 hours per week and expecting the same level of commitment from his core teams. This level of output is not accidental, it's strategic. Musk understands that time is the ultimate currency. By compressing years of work into months, he accelerates progress at a rate that most companies can't match. While others are strategizing, scheduling, and delaying, he is building, testing, failing, and iterating. The compound effect of working double the hours is exponential. If you work twice as many hours as your competitors, you will achieve in 4 months what they do in a year. That speed becomes a competitive advantage that money, connections, or experience can't replicate. This isn't about glorifying burnout. It's about purpose-driven intensity. Musk doesn't work 60-hour days because he's forced to. He does it because he's obsessed with solving hard problems. That obsession creates an energy that sustains him. When you're deeply aligned with your mission, the line between work and passion blurs. Long hours become a natural byproduct of that alignment. Musk has often said that if you're starting a company, you have to work like hell. There's no way around it. Building something meaningful requires sacrifice, and that sacrifice shows up most clearly in how you use your time. His intense schedule is also built for efficiency. Musk doesn't just work long hours. He makes each hour count. His days are broken into 5-minute blocks, forcing ruthless prioritization. He batches tasks, limits meetings, and focuses on high-leverage decisions. This kind of time discipline ensures that his output isn't just high in volume, but high in quality. He eliminates anything that doesn't serve the mission, whether it's bureaucracy, distractions, or unnecessary layers of communication. That's why he can lead multiple billion-dollar companies simultaneously. It's not superhuman ability. It's extreme focus and discipline over time. Working 100 hours a week isn't about clocking in more hours for the sake of it. It's about condensing progress, learning faster, and creating momentum that others can't keep up with. Momentum is a powerful force in business. When your team sees you working harder than anyone else, it sets a standard. It creates a culture of ownership and urgency. People begin to internalize that pace. They rise to match it. That's how Musk builds teams that can accomplish the impossible. He leads by example, not with motivational speeches, but with raw execution. That kind of leadership inspires loyalty and commitment that no bonus or title can generate. This philosophy also weeds out mediocrity. Not everyone can handle Musk's pace, and that's by design. He doesn't want people who are looking for work-life balance. He wants people who are all in on the mission. The ones who stay are the ones who believe, who care, who want to be part of something historic. That creates a self-reinforcing loop. Those who thrive in that environment push the mission forward, and their results attract more people like them. The culture becomes one of excellence, intensity, and speed. Musk's work ethic also enables rapid iteration. The faster you move, the faster you learn. When SpaceX was testing rockets, they failed again and again. But each failure came with lessons, and because they moved quickly, they applied those lessons almost immediately. That's how they went from failed launches to historic recoveries and reusable rockets in a relatively short period of time. Most companies would still be holding meetings and preparing case studies. Musk's teams were already building the next prototype. Speed doesn't mean being reckless. It means learning and adapting faster than anyone else. In startups, time is often the difference between life and death. Resources are limited, and delays can be fatal. Musk understands this better than anyone. That's why he pushes for insane timelines, even if they seem unrealistic. He believes in stretch goals. Even if the team misses, they land far beyond what others would have considered possible. That kind of pressure forces innovation. It forces creative problem solving. It pulls people out of comfort zones and into zones of growth. Working 100 hours a week isn't sustainable for everyone, but for Musk, it's the cost of doing what matters. He's not interested in average results. He's trying to redefine industries, build multi-planetary life, and solve global energy crises. Every hour Musk spends is a vote for the future he's trying to create. He doesn't delegate vision. He's in the trenches, refining designs, solving bottlenecks, reviewing code. That level of engagement sends a powerful message. It says, this matters enough to give everything. And when your leader gives everything, it changes the way you show up too. It raises the bar. It resets what's normal. It creates a culture where the mission is more important than comfort, where results matter more than appearances, and where effort compounds into extraordinary impact. Elon Musk has a unique relationship with criticism. While most people shy away from it, take it personally, or let it discourage them, Musk actively seeks it out and uses it as a powerful tool for growth. He doesn't let negative feedback damage his self-worth or derail his mission. Instead, he sees it as data, unfiltered information that can help improve ideas, systems, products, and even leadership. Musk understands that the truth often hides in uncomfortable places, and the willingness to face that truth is what separates the successful from the average. He doesn't aim to be right for the sake of ego. He aims to get it right for the sake of progress. This mindset creates a huge advantage in innovation, because it removes the emotional friction that slows down learning. When building something ambitious, mistakes are inevitable. Most people spend time defending their ideas or avoiding blame, but Musk spends that time learning. He encourages his teams to tear apart ideas, not to attack people, but to refine the work. He invites engineers, even junior ones, to challenge his assumptions. He asks questions like, what's wrong with this? And how can this be better? Because he knows that blind spots are dangerous. By turning criticism into fuel, he creates an environment where ideas evolve quickly. It's not about being the smartest person in the room. It's about creating a room where the best ideas win, even if they come from unexpected places. This mindset was evident in the early days of Tesla and SpaceX. Critics were everywhere. Industry experts, the media, investors. People called him foolish for entering the car business, arrogant for thinking he could build rockets, reckless for risking his fortune. Instead of shutting them out, Musk listened. He filtered the useful feedback from the noise, applied it, and kept moving. When he talks about failure, he doesn't speak with shame. He talks about feedback loops, how every setback feeds into the next improvement. That loop only works if you're honest enough to listen, resilient enough to absorb it, and humble enough to change course when needed. Musk often says that a well-thought-out critique of what you're doing is as valuable as gold. He knows that surrounding yourself with people who only agree with you is dangerous. It creates an echo chamber that stifles growth. Instead, he surrounds himself with problem solvers, people who are relentless about identifying flaws, inefficiencies, and weaknesses. In Musk's world, criticism is not an attack, it's a gift, and that changes the way teams function. It creates psychological safety to speak up, share bold ideas, and improve together. The ego is removed from the equation, and performance becomes the only metric that matters. This approach also shows in product development. At Tesla, when a new feature or update is launched, the feedback cycle begins immediately. Engineers track real-time data, customer complaints, online forums, and internal reviews to identify what's working and what's not. Then they iterate quickly, because the faster you turn feedback into action, the more competitive you become. Most companies fear negative reviews. Musk uses them as direction signs. If something breaks, if users are unhappy, if competitors are doing something better, that's not failure. That's information, and information, when acted upon, leads to innovation. Even in public settings, Musk doesn't shy away from uncomfortable truths. He's been criticized for his social media posts, leadership style, missed deadlines, and controversial statements. Rather than retreat, he often leans in, explains his thinking, accepts responsibility when needed, and adjusts course. That openness, whether people agree with it or not, signals transparency. It shows that he's not trying to be perfect. He's trying to move forward. That authenticity builds trust with supporters and creates pressure for accountability within his teams. One of the most powerful examples of using criticism as fuel came during the early failures of SpaceX. After 3 failed launches, the world was watching and mocking. The company was running out of money. The media wrote obituaries. Musk could have folded, blamed others, or walked away. Instead, he and his team analyzed every failure in microscopic detail, learning what went wrong, what could be fixed, and how to make the next launch a success. That 4th launch changed everything. It was the beginning of SpaceX's rise as a leader in aerospace. Without embracing and learning from criticism, that turning point would never have happened. Criticism also helps Musk protect the mission from internal stagnation. When companies grow, they often become slower, more political, and resistant to change. Musk fights that by fostering a culture where constant improvement is expected. He reminds his teams that if something feels comfortable, it's probably outdated. That discomfort is a sign of growth. Whether it's software bugs, manufacturing inefficiencies, or strategic blind spots, every critique is a flashlight in the dark. Musk doesn't just accept that light, he seeks it out. That's how he continues to evolve, even as the stakes grow larger and the challenges more complex. Elon Musk operates with a mindset that views risk not as something to avoid, but as something essential to progress. He doesn't play it safe. He doesn't seek comfort. He dives headfirst into uncertain territory because he understands that risk is the gateway to breakthroughs. While most people try to minimize risk in every decision, Musk studies it, measures it, and takes it on deliberately when the potential upside is meaningful. His entire career is built on this foundation, from investing his PayPal earnings into SpaceX and Tesla when everyone advised against it, to pursuing ideas like Mars colonization and brain-machine interfaces that others labeled insane. His relationship with risk is not emotional, it's calculated. He doesn't fear failure because to him the greatest failure is not trying. Musk sees risk as a filter. It separates those who are serious about their vision from those who are merely interested. If an idea is easy and safe, anyone can do it. But if it requires sacrifice, courage, and bold decision making, very few will even attempt it. That's where the opportunity lies. Musk intentionally goes where others won't. Not because he's reckless, but because he knows that real innovation lives on the edge of failure. He studies the risk, prepares for it, and then commits fully. He understands that playing not to lose is the surest way to stay average. Playing to win, on the other hand, means putting something meaningful on the line. His first major risk came after PayPal. He could have retired, bought houses, lived comfortably. Instead, he took nearly all his money and invested it in Tesla, SpaceX, and SolarCity. All three companies faced brutal skepticism. Most people would never bet their fortune on one risky idea, let alone three. But Musk was driven by mission, not fear. He believed the problems these companies were solving were too important to ignore. Even when Tesla faced production hell and SpaceX faced rocket failures, he didn't retreat. He doubled down. That kind of risk tolerance is rare, and it's why he's built companies that have redefined entire industries. Musk's approach to risk also affects how he builds products and teams. He pushes for bold timelines, aggressive goals, and unconventional solutions. Most companies avoid this because it opens the door to public failure. Musk invites it. He sees public failure as a small price to pay for accelerated learning. Every rocket explosion, missed production target, or software glitch is treated not as a setback, but as a data point. The key is to learn fast and try again. He's not interested in protecting reputation. He's interested in pushing boundaries. This risk-embracing culture spreads to everyone who works with him. Employees at Tesla and SpaceX know that safe thinking won't be rewarded. Creativity, boldness, and calculated experimentation are expected. That expectation creates an environment where ideas flourish and progress moves faster. People aren't afraid to speak up, try new approaches, or challenge conventional wisdom. They know the worst outcome isn't failure, it's stagnation. Musk leads by example. When he asks teams to move fast or take on massive challenges, he does the same himself. He puts his own money, time, and reputation on the line again and again. Musk also recognizes that risk looks different when you zoom out. What seems risky in the short term may be the safest move long term. For example, building reusable rockets was seen as nearly impossible. But relying on disposable rockets was a guaranteed long-term cost problem. The only way to make space travel sustainable was to rethink the entire model. That meant taking on engineering risk upfront to eliminate economic risk later. The same goes for electric vehicles. At a time when the world was still addicted to oil, investing in EV looked like a gamble. But Musk saw that dependence on fossil fuels was a far greater risk to the planet and to the economy. His willingness to take short-term heat for long-term gain is one of his defining traits. He also uses risk as a lens for clarity. When things are uncertain, he doesn't freeze. He simulates outcomes, gathers data, and then acts. He makes decisions under pressure because he trusts logic over emotion. That ability to stay calm when stakes are high is one reason his companies are able to move quickly while others hesitate. In business, hesitation is often more dangerous than a wrong decision. Musk knows this. He builds systems that allow for fast decision-making even when information is incomplete. Speed combined with course correction is better than waiting for perfect certainty. What sets Musk apart is not that he takes risks, but that he takes them with eyes wide open. He's not gambling blindly. He's calculating probabilities, running scenarios, and then committing with conviction. He's prepared to lose everything for what he believes in. That level of courage is magnetic. It attracts talent, investors, and supporters who are inspired by bold vision and unwavering commitment. Elon Musk's success is rooted in a mindset of relentless innovation. He doesn't accept the status quo, and he doesn't believe in gradual improvement as the only path forward. His approach is to disrupt, rethink, and rebuild entire systems from the ground up. This drive for continuous reinvention is what sets him apart from traditional CEO and business leaders. He doesn't just aim to do things better, he aims to do them differently. At the core of this mindset is a refusal to settle. Whether it's electric vehicles, rockets, brain-computer interfaces, or tunnel transportation, Musk looks at each field and asks one question: what would this look like if we started from zero with today's tools, knowledge, and ambition? This way of thinking requires a specific kind of courage. Courage to destroy what already works to build something that works better. It means embracing failure not just as a possibility, but as an essential ingredient of progress. Musk encourages rapid iteration, experimentation, and learning through doing. He believes the fastest way to find the truth is through action. That's why his companies test early, test often, and aren't afraid to launch prototypes that may fail. The lessons from those failures become the blueprint for success. Every test flight that crashes, every production model that misses the mark, every bold idea that breaks under pressure, all of it is part of the innovation cycle. This relentless pace of innovation isn't limited to products. It extends into processes, business models, software architecture, and even organizational structure. Musk constantly questions whether the way things are being done is truly the best way. If it's not, he pushes for change, even if it means tearing apart systems his own teams just built. This creates a culture of continuous evolution. Nothing is sacred. Nothing is immune from scrutiny. Every component, every process, every tool is fair game for reinvention. That's why SpaceX can launch, land, and relaunch rockets faster than entire government programs. That's why Tesla can push software updates over the air, turning cars into constantly improving machines. Innovation is not a phase. It's a core operating system. Musk also places a huge emphasis on engineering talent. He hires not based on credentials, but on problem-solving ability. He looks for people who are not only brilliant, but resourceful and relentless. People who are willing to work long hours, challenge assumptions, and iterate quickly. That kind of team becomes an innovation engine. It feeds itself. Each challenge solved becomes the starting point for the next. The standard rises continuously. What was exceptional last month becomes baseline this month. That cycle of improvement, driven by high expectations and high-speed learning, is what powers the breakthroughs. The culture Musk builds is one where stagnation is the enemy. Complacency is treated as a threat to the mission. People are encouraged to speak up when they see inefficiency or outdated thinking. Hierarchies are flattened to allow ideas to flow faster. Engineers are empowered to act, test, and execute without getting trapped in layers of approval. This decentralization allows for speed, and speed is one of Musk's most important strategic tools. In industries where development takes years, he pushes his teams to deliver in months. That pressure forces creativity. It forces prioritization. It drives bold thinking. Musk's relentless innovation is also fueled by his ability to see connections between fields. He doesn't think in silos. He pulls insights from physics, software, biology, design, and economics to solve problems in unconventional ways. His work with Neuralink, for example, is informed not just by neuroscience but by AI safety concerns and user interface design. His tunneling project is not just about reducing traffic, but about reimagining urban infrastructure and scaling transportation efficiency. This cross-disciplinary thinking allows him to create solutions others would never consider. It turns impossible ideas into engineering challenges. This mindset is not just about ambition. It's about survival. Musk often reminds his teams that if they don't innovate, someone else will, and if that happens, they fall behind. Innovation is not optional. It's a necessity. It's the only way to stay relevant in a world that moves faster every day. That urgency, that sense of being on the edge of both opportunity and extinction, drives a work ethic and intensity that few can match. It creates a rhythm where progress isn't occasional. It's daily. What makes Musk's approach so effective is that it's grounded in first principles, but executed with extraordinary pace. He doesn't let bureaucracy slow him down. He doesn't tolerate unnecessary meetings or overthinking. He believes in building, testing, and adapting. He uses failure as data and vision as fuel. Every product, every system, every decision is designed to serve the mission, and that mission is always evolving. There is no final version. There is only better, faster, smarter, and more efficient. The result is a constant state of forward momentum, a loop of creation, destruction, learning, and rebuilding. Musk doesn't wait for perfect. He ships, learns, and improves. He breaks what needs to be broken and never falls in love with the way things are. His companies, driven by this philosophy, move at speeds that leave others scrambling to catch up. This is not luck. It's not hype. It's the result of a relentless refusal to sit still.